Hello and welcome in the new episode of Kofax webinar series, Harness the Power of Generative AI, Accelerating Your Business Processes with Kofax Agility. My name is Małgorzata Sokołowska. I'm a marketing manager in Kofax, and today it is my pleasure to introduce to you our speakers and matter experts, Jesper Skerpenhuizen, Consultant Solutions Engineer at Kofax, and Barry van Leeuwen, Consultant Solutions Engineer at Kofax. At the end of the session, we will have Q&A slot, so please do not hesitate to submit your questions in the chat box. And now, without further ado, Jesper, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you so much, Goshan. Good morning. Thanks so much for setting this up. I'm going to address a lot of elephants in the room this morning. So I hope everyone's comfortable. And as always, please make sure that you submit your questions during the presentation. Okay, well, generative AI, that's the topic for today. But before we dive into that, just to make sure that everyone is a bit aware of who Kofax is. Well, Kofax is one of the market-leading intelligent automation vendors. And we've been around for approximately 40 years, but we, of course, keep innovating each and every day. We've got a global footprint, and we've got thousands of customers across the globe in all industries that are using our solutions and, of course, our platforms as well. We are a recognized leader in intelligent automation, or as Zinnov, as you can see here, calls it hyper-intelligent automation as well. But first and foremost, we are the undisputed leader when it comes to IDP. Well, what's IDP, you might ask? Intelligent document processing, or as I like to call it, intelligent content processing. But that's a topic for a different webinar, probably. So the topic of today is going to be, so how can you actually leverage AI in your business critical processes? This is, of course, something that we from Kofax have been doing for decades. But of course, there are a lot of developments going on out there in the world, and exactly those we want to address during today's webinar. As we are going to be talking about new and upcoming features, our lawyers have asked me to make sure that I show this safe harbor statement. So I'll give you a few minutes to read through this. No worries. If you want to read this, take a screenshot. And if you've got questions after this, let me know. What this actually boils down to, that anything that we do talk about future features, future releases, is not a promise, but it's what we are planning to do. But don't be mad if we change it here or there. Okay. So first elephant in the room. Did I use AI to write this presentation? Of course, I used GPT to help with certain of the topics I wanted to do, and it didn't just take control of my overall presentation, but it helped, and I used it as another source of input that I have applied to this presentation. And this is probably going to be the red line throughout this whole presentation, where you'll see a lot of these it helped kind of statements. We've all, of course, seen GPT, ChatGPT, generative AI, large language models, anything else out there in the news. And from just talking to people in my immediate circle, you might say, everyone has worked with it or is using it, maybe not on a daily basis, but they are aware of it and they are already applying it in their daily lives and in their in their day jobs. However, it does come with certain caveats. And as you see, well, Italy, for instance, blocked ChatGPT for a while. There were a lot of organizations who are struggling with implementing the right ways of leveraging new and these sort of disruptive technologies as well. And I want to address that elephant as well during this webinar. The other elephant is, of course, so what is generative AI? Well, I did promise I used ChatGPT to help me out with this. And as you can see, if you then ask GPT something, it's going to come back with a very detailed, a very long description with a lot of terms that I might understand, but I'm assuming not everyone is aware of things like, adversarial networks, those kind of things. So the best thing I then typically do is just explain it to me like I'm 5 years old. And this is, of course, a very easy way to get this to work as well. So again, what does generative AI boil down to? Essentially, it's been in this case, a pre-trained model of content that's, in the case of GPT, for instance, that's been out on the internet, which has been used to train this specific model. And that can then be used to generate, that's what the generative part comes from, new and maybe even insightful content as well. And that's exactly where a lot of people are now using these sort of technologies for. So I have a question, I ask that question, I get an answer. But wouldn't it be great if we can apply that same, well, almost magic, which is, of course, not really real magic, it's nothing more than just AI, of course, in our business processes as well. And this, of course, is greatly aligned with another great topic, and that's, of course, hyperautomation. It's still one of the, well, the most important trends that I see in my daily job, but also that the analysts have recognized. So in this case, it's Gartner that describes it like this. Personally, I'm always a big fan of this defining hyperautomation as the manner in which organizations are able to digitally transform their end-to-end business processes. That's what we're aiming for, right? And today I want to show how you can combine the Kofax Intelligent Automation Platform and more specifically TotalAgility, how you can combine that with generative AI technologies, like for instance, GPT, and what kind of value that's going to drive for your organization. But at the same time, also how you can then achieve a higher level of hyperautomation. Mentioning that intelligent automation platform, as you can see, when you look at the Kofax Intelligent Automation Platform, the two key components are Kofax TotalAgility and RPA. I'm not going to dive too much in the right-hand side today, but you can, of course, imagine how generative AI can be applied to those as well. First and foremost, this is, of course, the driving aspect for today's webinar. It's when we want to digitally transform those business processes, we can only do so with data or insights that you as an organization can trust. And that's what we within Kofax, we call that validated business data. And that is key. That validation part, that really makes the difference. And that's exactly also what combining of the best of two worlds is going to bring you when you start using TotalAgility in combination with generative AI. So how can you apply generative AI in your TotalAgility solutions today? Well, I've just listed a few examples here, and you might be able to think of even more. When you are analyzing a contract or any sort of complex document, you might be looking for very specific insights in the overall text there that you haven't been able to uncover before. But if you now have, for instance, those contracts, those documents, or the content that you want to analyze, you feed that into indeed generative AI, and you then use that in combination with the TotalAgility intelligent document processing capabilities. You have that best of both worlds approach. And what I want to do is I don't just want to talk about that, I want to show you. What I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you a quick onboarding scenario. In this case, it's going to be for financial institutions. So the moment when we start this demo, we've already submitted our request. We've already started that onboarding process, but that's when that analysis of these complex documents starts. Let me just take a quick drink right now. Okay. Because I need to explain a bit of what's happening there. Here we go. So as you see, we're now looking at that dashboard for the analyst. And that analyst is being presented, in this case, they received a Teams message saying, well, there's a new task for you. These are the insights that we've been able to derive from all these documents from ChatGPT combined with TotalAgility. And then, of course, within Total Agility, you'll see that those insights are going to be presented in that 360-degree view of this application. So we have that summary, first example, but we're also going to see the risk assessment which has been done for GPT. And this is, of course, very important because it's not just saying, hey, we're going to reject or approve this based on what GPT has done. No, but we're presenting that to, in this case, that human in the loop. So we will always be able to validate it. And this is then, of course, turning that business insight from AI into validated business data. That validation can, of course, also be done automatically. Like, for instance, where we were able to check data that GPT has provided to us, for instance, with other information on those documents or on other documents or on data that you might already have within your organization, where you can indeed automatically validate those so that you might not even need a human in the loop. But that key concept of validated business data is of the most, well, it's the most important thing here. It's really paramount. So that was one example. And what you saw indeed is being able to present that data in an automated fashion, in this case to an analyst. And you might also want to see how that then fits in other business processes too. So you've got that summarization, that immediate insight that's being presented to, in this case, a human via Teams, but you also have that risk assessment, but all in an integrated and seamless process managed by Kofax Total Agility. Other examples are indeed, as we mentioned, very complex documents, whether it's contracts, articles of incorporation, you name it. But what we want to do is you want to be able to use indeed that best of both worlds approach. So you have the strength of Kofax IDP, intelligent document processing abilities, combine that with the insights that you can derive by using your large language model of choice or your generative AI of choice, and then have those data and those insights combined, and also provide that indeed to, in this case, to that process itself. In this case, we've been able to, of course, get all green marks immediately. This also allows an analyst or an approver to immediately interact with that data as well. So if they want to ask additional questions, they can do so from that same single interface, in this case, Kofax Total Agility. So this is going to make sure that they don't need to switch from system A to system B. It's one 360-degree view from where they can make the right decision. Another example is, of course, in customer due diligence or know your customer, however you want to call it. And in this case, we've been able to derive a lot of insights from all of the information that we've been able to retrieve on, in this case, Mason Carter. And if you then look at what the insights are from GPT, that's immediately presented here too. Of course, so this might be a combination of Total Agility with robots going out and retrieving all the information, Total Agility already doing the IDP, doing the orchestration with, in this case, GPT as well, and then present it in an easy way to the analyst so they can make the right and, well, best informed decision going forward. So this, of course, all seems really, well, it's rocket sciencey, but these are things that you can do today. So if you go to the Kofax marketplace, you can already download the OpenAI ChatGPT integration for, in this case, Total Agility, which has been developed, well, by Kofax Labs. So if you want to know more on that, feel free to go out and have a look and play around with it and see how this might benefit your business processes. So then let's address another elephant in the room. In this case, of course, data privacy, compliance, ethical concerns, those kind of things all come into play when you start to consider AI and applying AI in your critical business processes. So we talked about some of these concerns in a few slides before, but these concerns can all be, well, remedied by combining, in this case, generative AI with a platform like Total Agility. And it boils down to this, that all those random acts of automation will never equal to actual digital transformation. Because if you are using, here we've got a couple of people are using ChatGPT to do this. Here we've got some others that are using Bart. Here are some others that are using the Meta solution. Um, but again, that will drive a lot of concerns. It will drive a lot of risk there as well. So you'll need to have a true end-to-end approach, and also an organizational view on how you want to incorporate generative AI. And again, the question is not if you are going to use generative AI, the question is more how should you be using that? Because you need to make sure that you ensure data privacy. So you don't want indeed your your employees just throw in, well, sensitive customer data, for instance, over to GPT. You'll need to be able to use a large language model that's approved, something that you can ensure that data privacy with. And that's exactly also where TotalAgility really shines, because you can indeed incorporate that with a approved generative AI approach. You are not bound to use ChatGPT. And this is, of course, also something where you see citizen developers playing a pivotal role. These citizen developers are typically the people that are looking into GPT as well. They are already using it. They are using it. They are playing around with it. They might already use it for their daily work. But if you give them the right tools, and if you allow them to use an approved generative AI model that you as an organization have approved, and if you give them the ability to use that in their business processes, then you can negate those risks. And again, it's all about choosing that right partner. One of those partners will, of course, be Kofax, as we will be able to orchestrate all of that with TotalAgility. But you might look into, okay, well, should I use the Azure OpenAI one, where you can have your own instance of GPT that you can indeed run and see if that's well, compliant for your organization. And that governance and that compliance aspect is, of course, of paramount importance. So you want to have the way to, well, have your cake and eat it, as the English would say, because you want to be able to use generative AI, but you need to be able to trust it and make sure that it's compliant and that you're not risking any sort of data privacy issues. And of course, when we are talking about validated business data, then you might want to consider indeed those human in the loops as well. But you also want to make sure that you are able to do active feedback to ensure that the AI doesn't run rampant and that you don't end up with, well, questionable decisions or questionable insights from the AI of your choice. So, if you then look at your business processes, uh, you'll see that that hybrid workforce management approach, where you are combining AI, robots, humans, any of the abilities that you want to use, typically within your intelligent automation platform. In this case, of course, the Kofax TotalAgility platform. You just see generative AI as another one of those, let's call them virtual employees that you want to add to it. And as I showed, it's very easy to do that, as we already have that the plugin posted, and you can do the same approach for any of the other generative AIs out there or your own large language models. So that's a bit what I want to talk about from a runtime perspective. So indeed, show you how you can use generative AI in your end-to-end business critical processes in a compliant, secure, and, well, ethical way. I hope that that's something that we all enjoyed. And this is now something I've always wanted to do. There is one more thing I want to share with everyone. Just imagine if you could just, instead of designing your processes and dragging and dropping in a low code, no code environment in TotalAgility, instead of that, imagine that you can indeed just ask a question. TotalAgility, please design such and such a process for me. Wouldn't that be great? Well, it's closer by than you think. Allow me to introduce you to Kofax Copilot. What we can now do is indeed adding another one of our TotalAgility apps, where you are able indeed to say, well, hey, we can just ask TotalAgility to create your own process. So in this case, we're just going to type, well, build me a process for onboarding, or in this case, commercial loan applications. And then, of course, with the power of generative AI, we are able to immediately generate that process, but also immediately generate the accompanying forms as well. So with just one single prompt, and you can, of course, iterate on top of that, you're able to already see the process being designed and also all of the forms. This is, of course, something, as I introduced earlier on, that we are actively working on, and I hope that you'll be able to see that in an upcoming release. But I did want to leave this with everyone so that everyone hasn't, well, had a chance to see that and be inspired. And who knows what generative AI in combination with TotalAgility will bring us, well, for the next time. So what we saw indeed, we saw Copilot. We saw where you can indeed ask Copilot to generate your process. And this is just the first step along the way. We are envisioning a lot of great things for generative AI within TotalAgility going forward, where we are just going to make it that much easier and that much faster to deliver true value with TotalAgility for your business and truly drive that hyper automation initiatives that we see with organizations globally. Well, that was it for me today. So I want to leave you with a quick QR code. If you want to see more videos on intelligent automation, if you want to see more inspiration when it comes to AI, if you want to know more about machine learning, have a look at my YouTube channel. You'll be able to find that by either using the link or just scanning the QR code. For now, I would say thanks so much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed it. And let me hand it back to Gosha and see if we have some questions. Oh, you're on mute, Gosha. I open you.
Did I unmute myself? This is the most popular sentence ever.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you so much, Jesper. And so that's the end of our presentation and time for some Q&A. Let me please invite Barry to the stage as well and take a look if we have some questions incoming from the audience. Oh, yes, of course, with this topic. Yes, we do. So question 1, will Kofax be offering its own generative AI or large learning model?
Let me take that. In a way, you could already say that we have been a generative AI supplier for quite some time, as we already provide a lot of NLP capabilities within TotalAgility. However, if the question is, will we be hosting or will we be offering a GPT-like large language model or generative AI solution, then we are more embracing a bring your own license or bring your own subscription to this, where you are able to indeed just, well, place your license for instance, the OpenAI Azure deployment into TotalAgility, and you can then use that. Or if you have a subscription specifically for BART, well, you can just add that into it. So we want to combine the best of both worlds, where you have the ability to, well, have all of the IDP capabilities that Kofax offers and combine that with the, well, generative AI or LLM of your choice.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Jesper. So the question number 2 incoming. What role does TotalAgility's IDP capabilities play in the scenarios you described?
Yeah. Do you want me to take that one as well, Barry?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Let's see if I can add.
So it's a great question, because it all boils down to that need of validated business data. So if you just chuck data into GPT or generative AI and just start asking that question, well, you are ending up with something that you can't really depend upon because it's not validated. And that's, of course, exactly where TotalAgility and its IDP capabilities come into play. So we are able to use all of our machine learning, but also our NLP and our deterministic capabilities within IDP to strengthen the insights that generative AI offers as well. And at the same time, we also offer the way to do that automatic validation that I talked about, where you're able to match data from those GPT insights, maybe to other parts within the document. But at the same time, we're also able to do validation against business data that you already have, a database, your CRM, your, well, any other one you might have. So that's the tip. That's the approach. It's the best of both worlds.
Thank you. And another question. How to comply with internal data security policies when processing sensitive customer data, for example, sales contract?
Yeah. Well, I think the answer to that is that Microsoft is offering private ChatGPT engines, OpenAI models. So customers can basically use their own environment. So it will be disconnected from the public LLM. And that allows you to also process your sensitive data like you process other sensitive data in Azure as well.
Thank you, Barry. One more question I see here. How is GPT integrated into TotalAgility like that? And how are data privacy and security of this data transfer assured in this integration?
Indeed, it's done through web services. And then, of course, as we mentioned, the data security
Plugin.
is indeed, yeah, it's up to the organizations themselves to determine which LLM or which generative AI supplier fits their data security. And then, of course, TotalAgility just becomes the connective tissue.
Yeah, it consumes it.
And one more, I think probably last question, as we're almost out of time and so many questions. How do Kofax deal with any upgrades to ChatGPT?
You want to take that one, Barry?
Principally, we integrate with ChatGPT. So whenever a new functionality is added, you can immediately consume it using either the plugin that will be, of course, maintained and updated as well as we go along with future developments in GPT. So yeah, I don't think there will be really issues to use that. You can start using it when it becomes available by adopting your web services or add these web services.
Perfect. And maybe just one more question. ChatGPT Copilot, in which version will this be available? Do we know?
It's going to be soon. That's all I can say.
Let's leave it with a
I am not
suspense.
allowed to make any sort of commitments or promises on that, other than soon, in quotes. But I should have expected that question.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot, both. This is the end of the questions, and we have reached the finale of our webinar as well. So thank you very much to our amazing speakers, and thanks to amazing audience and for all the great questions asked. And thank you for spending the morning with us. So we hope it was interesting. We hope it was informative session. If you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. And have a great day.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Cheers.
Bye-bye.